Help them understand that quality leadership and credibility takes time, effort, listening, and learning. So I'd like to tell you all a true story about a primary school colleague called Bob, who moved from being a class teacher into leadership. And as I tell you a story, maybe you know your own Bob, or perhaps you can relate to his experiences. It was 2007, Bob was 31, and he'd been at our school for a few years. Although still relatively new to teaching, he'd been a curriculum coordinator a few times and considered by many to be a good class teacher, team player, and someone who always put the students at the heart of his decisions. That year, a brand new deputy head teacher role became available. Bob eagerly submitted his application, and after an intensive and rigorous interview process, he got the job and was about to become the youngest deputy head the school had ever appointed. Although many people were pleased for him, a few eyebrows were raised at why someone so young with no prior leadership experience beyond curriculum coordination got the role. At the start of the next academic year, Bob began as deputy head, and I clearly remember that first day I was rather overeager with his emails. The most memorable message he sent was just before the children had finished on that first day. It began by reminding staff to ensure the students carried their bags down the stairs, otherwise the noise will be deafening and will be a distraction to many. And it ended with the words to the effect of, "Thank you everybody for a great first day. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Well done." This was the first of many such emails that week. Bob saw them as good-intentioned emails coming from the new deputy head. The majority of staff, however, didn't see it the same way. You can probably guess the typical responses. "In the job for a week, he's sending his emails like that. Management's gone to his head. Who does Bob think he is?" Sound familiar? Ultimately, Bob was making one of the easiest mistakes when it comes to someone's first time in leadership. He didn't understand how he was perceived as a leader. Bob believed that thanks to the credibility he'd built as a teacher, he'd be able to have that same credibility in his new role as deputy head. Wrong. He had little to no credibility. In the words of author John Maxwell, he was on the first of 5 levels of leadership, position. Colleagues were only following him because they had to, nothing more. And by sending those emails and by acting the way he was, Bob was in danger of alienating the staff. What Bob needed to develop, or I should say redevelop, were his relationships. Over time, perhaps he had reached the second level of leadership, permission, where colleagues would follow him because they want to rather than because they need to. The remaining levels of leadership are production, when colleagues follow a leader because of what they've done for the organization, people, where colleagues follow a leader because of what they've done for them, and lastly, pinnacle, where colleagues follow a leader for who they are, the qualities they have, and because they respect them. It was a tough lesson for Bob to learn, but thanks to some honest feedback from colleagues, some of it utterly brutal in its nature, he started to understand just a small part of what it takes to be a quality leader. From it, Bob developed a personal mantra: don't prove, improve. Being only 31, Bob felt he had to show his colleagues why he was the new deputy, to convince those aforementioned eyebrow raisers just why he was the right person for the job. By doing this, by consciously thinking of ways in which he could prove himself, he lost his focus, stopped putting the students at the heart of decisions, stopped being an educator, stopped being a leader, and was actually failing in his role. As we know, quality leadership takes a lot of time, effort, listening, and learning. From that moment on, Bob decided to focus on his role, building relationships, supporting the school and the stakeholders, and to always put the students at the heart of his decisions. He vowed never to prove himself to others again, but instead to continuously improve as a leader. 17 years on from his initial mistakes, Bob's doing well. He's in his 3rd headship role and still learning. But have you ever met a Bob before? Do you have an aspiring leader who's making the same mistakes? If so, I would urge you to help them to understand just a small part of what it takes to be a leader, pinnacle or otherwise. Help them understand that quality leadership and credibility takes time, effort, listening, and learning. And should they ever have Bob-like moments, please take the time to encourage them that they need not show people that they're the right person for the role. They've already got the job for the skills and qualities they already possess. So in short, don't prove, improve. Thank you.